Hey guys, Jagan here. Today's show is sponsored by B&M Racing and Hurst shifters, and I'm gonna be reviewing the paddle shifters that they sent me. This is a prototype version right now, so we're gonna do the install first. So the first thing you have to do is take out there's two screws on the back of the steering wheel, and Kenji says they are T20 Torx screws, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Got one out. These might be tricky. What I did is I turned on my engine and I turned my steering wheel. Like this other one. I don't think I can actually reach it. Nope. Can't. So basically what you want to do is take one out, and they usually, I think they're supposed to hold this in place. They're supposed to hold the steering wheel controls in place. Removing it will not make anything loose on the steering wheel. And continue to remove the next one. If you can't see the screws, just feel for it. They're really easy to find. And they don't go in that deep. And here's the second one. And from here, the kit comes with the paddles, the bracket that holds the paddles, and there's a Loctite, some screws, and a steering wheel spacer. So basically what we need to do now that those two original screws are out, you need to take one spacer and one screw and basically put it against the steering wheel. So it would be something like this. So the spacer goes into the hole of the screw, and we screw this one in replacement to the stock one, a longer screw. These new screws need a different type of it's a different type of screw, and it needs this this shape screwdriver. Now you have to find the right sized Allen key. And there are these green bits here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you're supposed to screw down the bracket, and these green spacers are supposed to push out these paddles to give room in between the OEM buttons. So far it seems to be working. The paddles are slightly flimsy, but it's not terrible. I think I'll make my judgment when this side is done. So again, I have to turn the steering wheel. And And basically it just cleared this as I turned right now, but because it's not screwed in, I won't make any judgments. So again, same game rule. This might be a bit harder because you have to push the spacer in from the bottom, but this bracket is at the same time very strong and very flexible. So as for with any screw, always hand tighten first so you don't double thread. Once that is securely in place, use your socket wrench or whatever tool you have and tighten it. Make sure the screw is pretty tight. And again, take my Allen key here. And we're gonna push those, I think they're called spacers out. And there it is. That lifted off the paddle. The trick is with these spacers is you got to give them just enough room so they can bounce the OEM buttons back. And if it's too little, the buttons get stuck. If it's too much, the paddle and the button contact point is too great, and you get some delay. And that's it. Let's go out for a ride. Okay, you guys. So I'm gonna take the car out for a spin now, and I'm gonna test these paddles in driving conditions, and I'll tell you guys what I think. Okay, with the car running at optimal temperatures, I'm going to shift into S and tap for tap shift manual. Okay, I'm on a semi-open road. There's a person walking, but I'll be careful. So let's see how this pulls. Has really good response. I'm downshifting right now. Really good response. And I have the trifecta tune for those of you sorry, eyes itching. For those of you following my blog, you know that I have the trifecta tune for the V6. I told Vince at Trifecta to lower my torque management on sport mode and tap shift manual by 30%, and I have firmer shifts, so when you're making a shift you can actually feel the the clutches release and then engage instead of having the transition between the two, and it does feel a lot cooler. So I'm gonna downshift to second. I'm quite impressed with the feel, and to answer you guys a question, these don't feel too big, though when I was backing out of my driveway, it kind of my fingers kind of caught on it. I think I'm just not used to it yet. So I'm at a red light here, and I better wait. Pretty good. Although I'm being a douchey driver right now, and I usually don't speed on these kind of roads, and I feel kind of bad. It's also rush hour, so I'm not really helping. but it does have a really good response, I have to say. The only problem I see with this is the washer stock. Okay, check this out. So if I turn the steering wheel a bit here, it doesn't engage. I think for the high beams as well, but I'm not gonna flash my high beams. I guess you could wash your windows when you have your steering wheel turned. I suppose that's a way to do it. Right, so I'm gonna get some gas. Actually, I have to say they feel pretty good, the paddle shifters. I had my doubts. No offense to B&M or Hurst. I had my doubts that they would feel this good. I mean, there are things that I think could be worked on. For instance, these screws in the back. When I'm running my hand along it, you know, I kind of get caught, and yeah, this bracket, this back bracket, I think could be thinner. The pedals, the paddles could be thinner too. Otherwise, they feel pretty firm. So my final thoughts for these paddle shifters. I mean, they're good. They actually do respond well, and I have to say they aren't as flimsy as I thought they would be. When you take a look at the hinge and the springs, you kind of have your doubts, especially when you just get the product and you're trying to press it without the steering wheel in place. It does feel like it will bend, but you know, I love these. I believe these will be called Jaggin pedals, so named after me, but not 100% sure what it would be called after they bring it out to the market. The bracket, the system isn't called Jaggin pedals, but these paddles are. There are other designs I think Hurst wants to work on, and the point of this is the buyer can buy multiple pedals and search them out, you know, for the different styles. I personally don't think these are too big at all. They're exactly right. I have no idea why you guys or some of you guys are complaining. I don't feel these pedals do not feel too big at all. I have no idea why some people are complaining that they're too big. They're perfect. Okay. First, hands in the 10 and 2 position. When you reach out for your pedals, they're there. And that's what you want. You don't want to actually reach down, or the paddle shifters you see on some other cars. You don't actually have to reach for them. These are good. It extends to the bottom because, you know, when your steering wheel is turned, you want more optimal angles. You don't want to just be focused on top. I have seen some cars, their paddle shifters are just on top, and it's kind of maybe for straight line driving, I guess. But I plan to take this baby autocrossing, so these might help. Final thoughts. This is an amazing prototype, and I'm very honored that I got the opportunity to install it and review it for you guys. And a special thanks to Kenji, who's been keeping me updated all the way. Like I said, these are not perfect. They're a good enough product, and depends on how much Hurst sells them for. I would say they are a nice addition to the interior, especially the driver view. With these paddles, you definitely want to use the manual tap shift a lot more. Maybe just because I just installed these, I can't wait to drive, you know, with the manual. The original, the buttons, it was just a turn off for me, and that's why from last summer. I started to complain, and that's when Kenji contacted me. The buttons made you have to reach down for the buttons, and even some of you guys agree you don't even like the buttons. You rather have it, have the Tiptronic system on the shifter, or like the Pontiac G8s. I think it's the G8s. Yeah. But with these, I really want to use them. They're good. They're really good. All it really takes is some adjustments in my install. There are some screws you want to adjust, and Kenji also gave me a little squeeze tube of Loctite, I think 274. You're supposed to Loctite some of these screws, just in case these wiggle over time and get loose because you're tapping them constantly. Kenji would also like me to drive with these on for a week or two and give him a long-term feedback, which I will. This is the initial review, and remember, this is the prototype. This might not be what you're getting as the final, so keep that in mind before you make any judgments. I do have to say that these are good. This is a good product for the amount of time they had to make it. And again, special thanks to Kenji. And that's it. The B&M Racing Hurst shifters, paddle shifters for the 5th gen Camaro.